For thousands of years, humanity has searched for its origins. Who built the first great civilizations? Where did science, mathematics, architecture, spirituality, and written language begin? And how much of that story has been forgotten, altered, or lost to time? From the temples of Kemet and the kingdoms of Nubia, to the empires of Mesopotamia, Greece, Rome, and beyond, this series follows the rise and fall of civilizations that shaped our world. We will examine ancient monuments, sacred texts, archaeological discoveries, historical records, and enduring mysteries that continue to challenge conventional understanding. This is not a story of myth alone. It is a journey through evidence, culture, innovation, conquest, and belief. The past is not dead. It lives within our languages, our religions, our sciences, and our identities. Join us as we travel across thousands of years of human history in search of one question. How did civilization become the world we know today?
Prehistory is often described as the time before writing. But writing was never the beginning of thought. Long before ink touched papyrus, the human mind was already recording the world. Across Africa, the earliest records of human understanding were not written words, they were symbols. These markings were not decoration, they were information. These images recorded patterns of the world, the cycles of the seasons, the movement of animals, ceremonial knowledge, even the rhythm of the heavens. Knowledge was not stored in books. It was stored in people. Memory lived in story, in song, in rhythm, in image. In the ancient world, knowledge had a heartbeat. Elders were libraries, rituals were archives, and the memory of humanity lived in the people who carried it. Here, along the Nile, humanity did not merely survive, it learned to grow. Now, as the waters rose, they did not only destroy, they transformed. What seemed like chaos became a cycle. Each year, the river would swell, spilling beyond its banks, carrying with it rich, dark silt from lands far to the south. And when the waters receded, they left behind something extraordinary, fertile ground. Ground that could sustain life. Scattered across the earth, from the highlands of Anatolia to the deserts of Africa stand stones that defy simple explanation. At a site named Anatolia, a stone and sky were brought into alignment. Here, early Africans marked the heavens, tracking time, seasons, and the rhythm that would guide civilization. Sites like Göbekli Tepe, dated to nearly 10,000 BCE, suggest that organized construction, symbolic thought, and ritual complexity existed long before what we call civilization. These were not random gatherings of hunter-gatherers. They were builders. Then, something changed. Around 12,800 years ago, the Earth entered a sudden climatic reversal, known today as the Younger Dryas. Temperatures plunged, ecosystems collapsed, and as the ice sheets later melted, sea levels rose dramatically, erasing coastlines, settlements, and perhaps entire chapters of human memory. What was once known became fragmented. What was once unified became myth. In the aftermath, humanity adapted. Small bands of survivors reorganized, not from nothing, but from what remained. Hunter-gatherers became settlers. Settlers became agriculturalists, and agriculture gave rise to permanent community. Yet, the question remains, did civilization begin here, or was it rebuilt? Along the Nile Valley, one of the most stable ecological corridors on Earth, a continuous thread of human development began to emerge. From the south, in regions we now call Nubia, to the fertile floodplains of Kemet, cultures developed that preserved symbolism, astronomy, and sacred architecture. Archaeological traditions, such as the Naqada culture, reveal a people already advanced in art, trade, and social organization long before the first dynasty was ever declared. This was not the beginning of civilization, but the refinement of something older. Before kings ruled the two lands, before temples rose in stone, there was a sacred pattern woven into the fabric of existence. Osar, Osiris, Osset, Isis, and Heru, Horus, not merely deities, but principles, forces of life, death, and renewal. Ozar, the giver of order, the one who passes through death to become eternal. Oset, the throne, the divine intelligence, the power that restores, that remembers, that brings life back from silence. Heru, the living force, the rising consciousness, the rightful heir, who restores Malins to the world. This was not mythology. It was a system of understanding, life transformation, and rebirth. A cycle reflected in the Nile. From the lands of ancient Africa, this triad became the foundation of kingship, of spirituality, of cosmic order. In the deep south, along the fertile edges of the Nile, among the earliest communities of the Nubia-Kemet continuum, before priesthood, there were watchers of the sky. Before temples, there were alignments, earth to stars, from body to cosmos. There existed an awareness, a presence that could not be held, the invisible one, the concealed source. He was the quiet truth behind existence itself, whom later generations would come to call Amun. Before Amun had a name, the Nile Valley already knew the unseen, a presence not carved in stone, but felt in breath, in wind, in life itself. At Giza, the Valley Temple is built from massive limestone and granite blocks, some weighing over 50 tons, cut and fitted so precisely that joints are nearly invisible. At Abydos, the Osirian is constructed from enormous granite pillars and monolithic beams, with flat surfaces and right angles maintained across multi-ton stones, aligned with a level of control difficult to produce even today. And then the stone vessel, carved from granite and diorite, materials harder than the tools attributed to the time, yet shaped into perfectly symmetrical forms, with uniform wall thickness and narrow necks that suggest internal precision machining. What makes this even more remarkable is that this level of precision is not sustained. At the Great Pyramid of Giza, this structure is aligned to true north with extraordinary accuracy, deviating by only a fraction of a degree. Its massive base, spanning over 230 meters each side, it is leveled to within mere centimeters across the entire foundation. It is built from an estimated 2.3 million stone blocks, weighing at least 2 to 3 tons and up to about 80 tons per block, rising to an original height of nearly 147 meters. Its geometry encodes proportions that closely approximate pi. The outer casing stones, once polished to a mirror-like finish, were fitted with joints so precise that even a blade could barely pass between them. Analyses even suggest its placement corresponds near the center of Earth's landmass, and deep within the structure, narrow shafts extend from internal chambers out to the exterior of the pyramid. Across dynastic Egypt, even during the 4th dynasty, these exact standards are rarely matched. It appears not as a gradual development, but as something already refined. In Central Africa, near the shores of Lake Edward, a small bone was carved with deliberate marks. Not random, but ordered. Today, it is known as the Ishango bone. Each notch represents more than a count. It reflects awareness, pattern, and relationship. A way of understanding the world through numbers. It stands as evidence that mathematical thought, the foundation of science, architecture, and civilization, was already emerging in Africa tens of thousands of years ago. In the earliest memory of Kemet, there was a land beyond the horizon. Punt, the land of the gods. Not discovered, but known. From its shores came tusk, ebony, and ivory, myrrh for temples, gold for the divine, and living symbols of sacred order. This was not trade. This was connection. A living bridge between worlds. Around 3,000 years before the Common Era, civilization was emerging across multiple regions of the world. The Nile Valley in Africa, Mesopotamia between the Tigris and Euphrates, the Indus Valley of South Asia, and the Yellow River Basin of early China. Each region developed its own architecture, writing systems, and political organization. In Mesopotamia, the Sumerians built cities such as Uruk and Ur, though their architecture relied heavily on mud brick construction, forming stepped temple structures known as ziggurats. Here, we also see the emergence of cuneiform writing. Along the Nile, early dynastic Egypt was forming under rulers such as Narmer, unifying Upper and Lower Egypt. Settlements developed along the floodplains, and early mastaba tombs appeared as precursors to later pyramids. The Nile became the backbone of administration, agriculture, and trade. In South Asia, the Indus Valley civilization developed some of the most organized urban planning of the ancient world. Cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa featured grid street systems, standardized bricks, and advanced drainage infrastructure. In East Asia, early cultures along the Yellow River laid the foundations of Chinese civilization. Cultures such as Liangzhu and Hongshan produced sophisticated jade ritual objects and organized settlements. But at Giza, something entirely different appears. Not mud brick, not clay, but stone. On a monumental scale, cut, transported, and assembled, with a level of precision that stands apart from its time, unmatched by its contemporaries. When placed beside the civilizations of its era, the question is no longer what was built, but whether this level of engineering truly belongs to the same moment in history. Before the writing of kings in stone, there was a land awakening along the Nile. Small communities gathered along fertile banks, their symbols etched into clay, bone, and memory. These were the people of Nekada, before the crowns were united. There were the first rulers of the Nile. Ir, a king of Abydos, ruling in a time before the two lands became one. His name, among the earliest ever recorded, a signal that kingship had already begun to take form. The Scorpion King, a shadowed figure of conquest and ritual authority. From this world emerged rulers not yet called pharaohs, but kings of power and unification. Nama, King Menes, the one who would unite the two lands, Upper and Lower Kemet, into a single divine state. The Nama palette, not merely an object, but a declaration. Here, for the first time, Upper and Lower Kemet are shown as one. Nama wears the white crown, then the red crown, uniting the two lands under a single divine authority. The crowns they wore were more than symbols. They were declarations of cosmic order Ma'at, established through kingship. Heru, the falcon, hovers above, guiding the king, subduing the delta. Order, overcoming chaos. The intertwined beasts, a symbol of duality brought into harmony. The image that would echo for 3,000 years. The king raising his mace, grasping his enemy. The smiting of the foe. This was more than art. This was the blueprint, the DNA of Kemet. The Sarik, bearing the falcon of Horus, declared the king's divine authority. After unification, a new order emerged along the Nile. Around 3100 to 2890 BC, the first dynasty began. A line of rulers who transformed a unified land into a functioning state. Around 2890 to 2686 BC, the second dynasty emerged, where kingship endured. Imhotep, not a king, but the power behind one. Advisor to Djoser, high priest, architect, physician, scribe. A man who mastered both the physical and the unseen. He did not simply build a pyramid. He transformed architecture itself, from simple tombs to vast ceremonial complexes. But his genius did not end with stone. He studied the body, its wounds, its healing. A tradition later remembered in texts like the Edwin Smith Papyrus, where observation, not superstition, guided treatment. The world's first multi-genius. To later generations, Imhotep was no longer just a man. He became a symbol of wisdom, a healer, even a god, a builder of structures and systems, a master of knowledge whose legacy would echo for thousands of years. If Hippocrates is considered the father of medicine, then Imhotep would be the grandfather of medicine.